Hey guys, welcome in. So, I think it's about time. It's been well over a month since the new 8.0 update has dropped. And I think it's time that we address some things. So, first of all, I want to address something I think they have done the best thing from the update. And that for me has been some of the buffs. Some of the buffs. There's still a lot that seem incomplete, but some of the buffs that I do really like, buffs to limited characters. So characters that uh, can only be obtained by certain ways. So the biggest and best at the moment is Hades. So Hades is the one of the most limited characters. You have to go in the win in the top 10 of the Sorcerer's tournament to gain him as a reward. So if we look under here in daily prizes, so the only way to get him is if you are at the top. It is an incentive to work your way through to the top of the sorcerer's trial. So all up until the top 20 is all just gem prizes, which are nice, and they are very nice daily gem prizes. But when you start getting to the top 10, then you can start gaining access to him. So he was a very exclusive character that to get him, you had to be within the top 10 and stay within the top 10 to unlock him, to level him up, start him up even more. And previously, he was very slow, took forever to use his abilities, and was a little bit underwhelming. So he has received some very nice treatment. His his whole workover and what he does now, just his more speed, more damage, more effects, is quite nice the way he works and the way he rolls. Another one is Mordu. So Mordu was an event exclusive, and he has gone from he used to be. I did find a way video potentially still to come. I have some footage of it that I haven't released. Um, to use him in the old way and to make him beneficial that he can maximize his abilities. But previously, he would when he get down below 50% health, he would have his ability um, activated. So it's similar to this. So when health is below 40%, you gain offense up for 2 turns and counters for counter for 1 turn. And then also Wild Swap becomes empowered. So when Wild Swap is empowered, then he attacks twice, I believe. 30% bonus damage, and then followed up by an extra attack. So 2 attacks with more damage. So he actually starts becoming a lot of a really good beast. His knocking, this ability used to knock things forward. It was quite slow to use, and it it, it was good in very limited circumstances, but it still potentially could be good. Um, I found ways to use it, so I kind of liked it. And then Savage Hell, nice little AoE there, and gives you taunt. So I think he receives some nice buffing treatments to make him a little bit more viable in this turn-based system than when he was previously. Previously, he was quite very slow as well, and he's also received a bit of a speed boost. So, and speed is one of the biggest things in this game at the moment, and just controlling the turns. So those two were exclusive characters. Um, Another one that is an exclusive is Horn King. Horn King seems to be nice. I don't like the way the cauldron works now. Now that now that with all the changes, it becomes an ability that you just avoid using because you can't rely on turns to continually activate it after the first use. It's just way too slow, not very good. But in saying that, even without the ability, he does a decent amount of damage. So one of the another best characters in the game, Shan Yu, and he is the arena exclusive. And a his passive is one of the best passives in the game, having a speed bonus. As I said, at the moment this game is controlled by speed. That's nuts, and he just does a heck of a lot of damage. Like it's crazy damage that he does. And he also has a nice little on dealing crit strike. You have can perform the following: reduce the speed meter by 40%. So yet again, controlling the speed in the turns, he just becomes amazing. So with these things, those characters are becoming super good. Being limited characters, limited ways to get them, they have become like great. Even with Simba, I've went up against I think Vax's Simba in one of the other game modes, the Club Conquest. And Simba, with his extra buffing abilities, can be a real big beast. Oogie Boogie is another one who has had a decent buff in this. He's actually way more defensive, and you can use him a whole lot more. Previously, he was just a bit slow and clunky. He had good defense, but he pretty much didn't do any damage. And so he doesn't do high damage, but he seems to heal a whole lot more now, which is kind of nice. So before, the heals were like nearly nothing. So those types of limited game characters are really nice to see that they've got buffs. I mean, Elastigirl didn't get any love, and she's no longer available, so they're probably still working on her. And they did mention that there are going to be characters that are going to be unavailable while they're working on things, so hopefully they have been, because we haven't been receiving much from things, so I'm sure they are working in the background on some things. Another one, Cora used to be an not event exclusive, but the club reward exclusive, the club currencies you could purchase on her. And she used to be, way back in the very early days, she was amazing. Then she kind of just became good. And now I'd still probably just sit her in a good target, especially when they buffed or they nerfed her precision strike. Now she's just, it takes too long to activate it. So, and as you can see there, it's got the red bars, so it doesn't come in on the first turn. So one of those, without that, she is not very good. She is like just gets wrecked. So for those things, I think those are very nice things. I personally would have loved to see these types of buffs to the characters in the old system. Yeah, that's nearly as far as the good things go for this update. Although little things like the VIP was a nice addition for people who are time limited and don't mind supporting the game. I think it's nice to have ways to support the game that instead of people who don't want to watch ads can just pay a certain amount to support the game. The game itself gets support, so it doesn't matter if they're not watching ads, and it could even be a little bit better for them. So I think that is a nice option to have, especially because I know there are people out there, and it's not everybody wants to watch ads and all those other types of stuff. So it's nice to have that option out there, and to go through things a little bit faster. I think that's completely fine, and I like those types of ways that don't detract from any type of fair playing field for anyone who doesn't have it. So it's nice, just as it's a bonus for the people who really want it. and I like that. I really do like that. So, other than that, that is nearly where it runs out. The game is still feeling very slapped together, very not thought out, not well thought out. With a few characters still not receiving any of the buffing love, or they don't really transition over to the new system very well. Things like all the types of story modes are just easy and not as I've mentioned this in other videos, like how got a Sally how it's just very static. There's no movement and things like that. So this is another thing. Like, this is a look at the event. This is the top 7-star available event, and I want to take auto off. So Oogie Boogie is here, and like, I think it's just very Burge. I'm just gonna check that up there. It's just very how do we say it? Static and nothing special about it, which is kind of sad. Deal damage, offense down, or steal effects would be nice if they had any, but they don't. So I'm just going to continue to attack. And Kadoosh. I'll take that. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, just I think it's just like the whole game mode itself for me is very static. It's not the most exciting or quick feeling, so it's not as enjoyable. And I liked how previously the game modes had a bit of challenging. There was quite a challenge to some of them, and a lot of the events you had to do special things as different things were happening. I kind of miss that. Queen of Hearts, like, I think all summoned. One thing is, all summoned creatures, all summoned creatures don't seem to be very good, and they don't seem to do very much damage. So, like, I'm not using my summoning the card for her, because previously it was one of her best. Oh, another one on the autos. I like it. I'll take it. It was one of her best features, and it was a very strong component of hers. But now, her, Raja, any other like kind of summon things, they just don't do any damage, which is an insight. But more about this event. It seems quite geared to low-level characters. With that, originally it started off with giving like Jack tokens and Sally tokens, 10, 10, 10, until you unlock them, and then you need them for the next levels, which is nothing wrong with it. That's good. But then you get down to the high levels, and as rewards, you get the 10 basic rewards, but the chance rewards are the same all the way from the beginning. You don't get a chance to get more. So even for a new character, after the first few levels, you're still stuck only getting a chance of 1. So there's not much chance to progress more. You just get stuck at the level that you get stuck at. No matter how much you invest into it, like a chance at one is still just a chance. And when you start needing heaps and heaps and heaps of them, when you start needing like 30 and 65 and 85, that's a lot of chances to potentially get them. And then so on, so forth, down to the Sally tokens, needing 65, so needing another 54 to then take you up to the next level. And at the moment, I think the 7-star buff that was given a while back was kind of good and kind of needed to set everything had not enough health. But the bad thing about that is now 6 stars and 5 stars can't compete with 7 stars. So it's almost like a 5 stars and 6 stars needs to have a bonus health increase, just like 7 star did, but maybe at a slightly lower scale. Like say if the 7 star was 30%, the 6 star should be maybe 20% more, and 5 star 15%, 4 star 10%. I don't know, something to just kind of to make it so there's not such a gap in what you can use and what makes things usable. Because something having 30% more life than other things makes a massive difference, especially when there's 5 characters with that. So if I previously in the old ways, like a 5 star could compete with 7 stars. 7 stars would still be better, but you could still compete. Now there's just so much more of a void, of a gap, of a big difference between the star levels. So that is kind of a downside. And then just the gears, they made a fix for the gears and how progression was it made things better in a way. So before this last upgrade, it used to be, so to make one of these little fibers, are they called fibers? The fibers, you used to have, I think, 15 of them. Oh, you had to make, I think, five. Yeah, you had to have 5 fibers to make one of those reels. And then for each of those, that means you needed like, and 15 to make the 5, so that you need like 75 per time to make one of those fibers. And so they changed that, so now you only need 15, so that's 30. But now, and to balance that out, they have then gone and increased the droplet amounts used and the other things like the sharp corals and all those other types of items. So things like the thistle and all of that. So you need 50, and that is a massive difference. Whereas previously you'd go through, maybe in pre 8.0, you would go through maybe 10 per tier. Maybe a little bit more, 20 maybe max. That is a big increase. And they're not only that, they also, to compensate for some of these amounts and the changes, and to make things more available, they did make things farmable again, which is kind of nice, because in a previous change they had taken away any farmables and made it only available in exchanges. So now you can actually find these up and go, oh, I actually need these somewhere. At one stage in the game, they stopped this from being available to do. And made it so you bought everything in the exchange, which was good and bad. I think it's nice to have farmable, and it's nice to have both options. But now that we do have both options, they've just made the exchange so overpriced that is not really worth getting. So now you've got to pay thousands for two of something. Some of the amounts aren't too bad, like 4,000 for 5 of these shell extracts, and some of them are okay, but 7,000 for 2 when you need to get 35 per time. Yikes! Yikes! It's a lot. It's a lot. And things like this, the tier 7. So I would assume tier 7, mate, if tier 7 comes on global, whenever it does, it would make sense to have the tier 7 costing a whole lot more, an equivalent to tier 6. But for now, it's just hash. It's just hash. So at the moment, the only thing that I'm finding worthwhile to buy is the brooms, and everything else is quite overpriced. Or well, Strange 5 is a quite decent price, but droplets 2 for 2,000, and the time it takes now to get currency for the club currency, the arena currency, it takes a whole lot longer, and you're getting a whole lot less. So just the ratios and the costs of all the different currencies just don't quite seem on par. There's something gone missing. It was just a rash change to make a change to try and make people happy before the Christmas break, the Christmas holiday, and everyone else went on holiday. But none of it seems thought out. None of it was planned. It doesn't seem that anyway. Or there was some thought put into it, but not a deep thought. Like previously, we could see how there was a whole lot of thought and planning into a lot of the different ways and the changes that were implemented in games, whereas now there seems to be a whole lot more trying to just quick jump in. Maybe we'll patch this up, slap a plaster on it or a bandage on it, and it just doesn't feel complete. Is pretty much where we're getting it. It doesn't feel complete. Another thing, like in PvP, it used to be you had to get 20 stars to stars or key fragments or whatever to unlock your daily arena one, and instead of making it so each enemy kill gave you a star like they used to with 3 and giving you have a chance of 5, they just reduced it to 10 and left it the same 3-star ways. And it just, to me, it just kind of doesn't make sense, and it might just be because of the old way. But even some new players, I've been talking with a few new players that have come to the game on Discord. They are kind of feeling the same things. They are feeling that things just don't quite feel right. It's kind of like a copy of a bunch of other games, or the best parts of, or some parts of other games, but it just doesn't seem coherent within the game itself. And then other things like the gear costing for people are happy with tier 1 costing like, oh hey, you can have one of these motes, and then all of a sudden you're jumping up to oh okay, I actually need 20 of these brooms now per item per one of these, and it just gets to a wow, I've actually got to grind for those. And now they've also changed, because of the way all the having of these things available for grinding and tokens available for grinding in Grand Champion. They made like nearly every character available in Grand Champion. But the problem with that is now that they said, well, since we're giving you all these characters, we're also going to limit the amount of energy you can get. And I missed claiming my energy for it today because I was busy between the one time that you can claim the free energy. And so there that goes. And for me, I mean, it's not too much of a bother because I do have all of these maxed, so it's not a massive issue. But for newer players, the struggle is real to try and work your way up and have the good feeling of progression. Now, some people have said they've said that they would love to have some story aspects of this. Story was never a big thing for me. A lot of people came to this in like the PvP aspect, but now that is nearly all out the window. So there's just quite a lot of little missing gaps now. So hopefully there are some more changes to come very soon. But there you go. That's my little, hopefully, of another thing I don't, I and a lot of others don't, is that other rewards also have been stripped out. Is that for the club rewards, we used to get gems on the 4th, on the 8th, on each one of these little levels. So on the end one, they would have like a gift of gems on each of them, and the gems will step up by 1 for every little level you go down, and by the last you're getting 5 gems per attempt. I'm not saying they need to give up heaps of gems for free, but even for the daily, it was nice. It was nice is what I was trying to get at. But even for the daily like club rewards that we all work together as a club, there used to be, for the highest ones, the tier 5s, there used to be gem incentives, and now it's just a few tokens. And when you get higher, I mean, there's less and less incentive to push as a cohesive unit to strive for a lot of these rewards, especially when the amounts are so high. It's nice to have incentives, and so it's a pity that those were taken away as well. And it could potentially be just for a test. And I'd say if it has been a test, then it hasn't been so enjoyable. And then on top of that, with the gems being even more limited in the game, for people who purchase gems or for people who are free to play or just playing it and getting the natural gems, they are getting you far less now. Things in here, so 1,000 gems, 1,400 gems for 50 of these, that's only enough for one piece of, not even a whole piece of gear, one part of a piece of gear. It's going to cost you like nearly 1,400 gems. And same with these, nearly 1,000 for the enough droplets. And like for any of these things, it costs a whole lot of gems. And we're getting a whole lot less of them. It just doesn't seem well planned out. So hopefully there's a whole lot more thought that goes into this. Fingers crossed for myself, for a lot of old players, and even for some newer players. Newer players have also looked at some old videos and have said, wow, the way this game used to be was so unique and looks so fun. It looks a whole lot more fun than it is currently. And that's saying something for older players and newer players to be saying. So hopefully the feedback is heard. If not, hopefully more things are being worked on, and we'll see how this game progresses. But that's where we are currently. And so I'd love to hear any of you guys' feedback in the comments below. And we'll see you guys next time.